I bought a wedding dress from a stranger for $12. It still had the tag on it, unworn, 20 years old, and taped inside the collar was a note that read, "If you're reading this, I never got to wear you. Find her." I should have thrown it away. Instead, it changed my entire life. My name is Daniel. I run a small vintage clothing store in a town most people drive through without stopping. Old wedding dresses come in more than you'd think. Estate sales, divorce clean-outs, grandmothers who pass and leave closets full of things nobody wants to touch. But this one was different. It came in a box with no return address. Just the dress, folded in tissue paper that had yellowed with age, and that note taped inside the collar. "If you're reading this, I never got to wear you. Find her." No name, no date, nothing else. I should have listed it for sale and moved on. I run a business, not a detective agency. But something about it sat wrong with me all week. I kept thinking about a woman somewhere who bought a dress for a wedding that never happened, and cared enough 20 years later to leave a message for whoever found it. So I did something stupid. I started looking for her. The dress had a designer tag from a boutique that closed in 2004. I called 4 different bridal shops before someone remembered the name, a small chain that used to keep paper receipts in storage. It took 3 weeks and one very patient former employee named Carol to find the sales record. The name on it was Elena Marsh. I found her within a day after that. She still lived 2 towns over. She still had the same last name. I almost didn't go. What was I going to say? "Hi, I found your wedding dress in a donation box. Want it back?" But I drove there anyway. She answered the door in gardening gloves, maybe mid-50s, silver starting to run through dark hair. I held up the dress in its box and just said her name. She went completely still. "Where did you get that?" she said. It wasn't really a question. I told her the truth, the box, the note, the 6 weeks of searching. She invited me in without saying another word. Elena made tea she never drank. She just held the cup and stared at the dress box on her kitchen table like it might disappear if she looked away. "I was supposed to marry a man named Thomas," she finally said. "Everyone loved him. My parents loved him. I loved him too, I think. I just wasn't sure I loved him enough." 3 days before the wedding, she said, she sat in her car outside the church, in the dress, veil and all, and she couldn't make herself walk in. "I didn't leave him at the altar," she said. "I left before that. I just drove away. I never told anyone why. I let them think I panicked. I let him think I panicked." She kept the dress for 2 decades, moved it from apartment to apartment, got married once, years later to someone else. A marriage that didn't survive either. "Why keep it?" I asked. "Why the note?" She looked at me for a long moment. "Because I never regretted leaving," she said. "I regretted never telling anyone the real reason. I think I wrote that note for myself more than anyone. I needed someone someday to ask me the question you just asked." Then she said the part I didn't expect. "Thomas is a professor now, 2 towns from here. Never married. I heard he still asks about me sometimes. I want to tell you I orchestrated some big reunion. I didn't. I just told Elena that some doors don't need 20 years to reopen. They just need someone brave enough to knock." 3 months later, she messaged me one line. "We had coffee. It didn't fix 20 years, but it fixed the silence." She didn't marry Thomas. That's not how this story ends, and honestly, I don't think it needed to. What she got instead was the thing she'd actually been missing for 2 decades. Not the wedding, not the man, but the chance to finally say the true reason out loud to someone who mattered. The dress sits in my shop window now, not for sale. Elena asked me to keep it there. As a reminder, she said, that some things you carry aren't regrets. They're just unfinished sentences, waiting for the right person to ask what happened next. If you've ever kept something you couldn't explain, a letter, a photo, an old dress in the back of a closet, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story stayed with you, there's another one waiting for you right now. The story of a note left on a waitress's worst shift and the 3 words that changed everything.